Good day, classmates. We hope that you're all safe. And we are here together with Mara, Dagatan, and Antoinette Abeba that will talk about on the taxation part 7. No, it focuses more of the discussion about the Special Economic Zone Act for purpose of determining taxabilities and tax incentives. Also, we will be providing the discussion of talking points and the basis of conversion and Development Act or BCDA for the purpose of determining taxabilities and tax incentives. Through the discussion of this part, we're able to appreciate how this act was able to enacted way back March 13, 1992. No, the objective of this act is to accelerate the sound and the balanced conversion between the development of the former United States military base into special economic zones in order to promote an economic and social development in Central Luzon in particular. So to proceed the discussion, we are here, Antoinette Abeba, that will focusing more of the Special Economic Zone Act for purpose of determining tax liabilities and tax incentives.
Good day once again, everyone. So again, my topic for today is going to be the Specialized Economic Zone Act for the purpose of determining tax liabilities or tax incentives. And we are actually going to look forward on the topic of the RA 7916 or Republic Act 7916. It's also known as the Specialized Economic Zone Act of 1995, which is administered by the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, which is the PEZA. So PEZA is a government agency attached to the Department of Trade and Industry that is actually established to separate custom territory to promote flow of local and foreign investment that would generate employment opportunities, simulate the repatriation of Filipino capital by providing attractive climate incentives for business activity and for other purposes. So RA 7916 or the Specialized Economic Zone Act of 1995 is an act providing the legal framework of mechanisms for the creation, operation, administration, and coordination of specialized or special economic zones in the Philippines. This creates its purpose of course, of the economic or the Philippine Economic Zone Authority. So, of course, with this eco zones, or you might actually thinking right now, what is or what are the eco zones in the Philippines or the special economic zones? So, eco zones in the Philippines are special economic zones, which is also known as says, are selected areas of highly developed or which have the potential to be developed into agri-industrial, tourist, recreational, commercial, banking, investments, and financial centers whose matters and bounds are fixed and delimited by presidential proclamation. So if you're also wondering right now, how are ecozones classified in the Philippines? Ecozones in the Philippines may contain or all the following classifications of economic zones in the Philippines, which includes industrial estates. It also includes export processing zones, free trade zones, tourist and recreational centers. So on our next slide, so there's actually an amendment of the RA 796, which was enacted on 24 February 1995 to encourage and promote the establishment and development of economic zones or ecozones and identifying or identified or selected areas in the country as a means to achieve sound and balanced industrial, economic, and social development. So you might also be thinking right now, is there a criteria in establishing ecozones in the Philippines? Yes, there is. So the implementing rules of the Regulation of Public Act 7916 provide specific general criteria to ensure viability and geographical dispersal, such as the following. So, of course, we need to identify the existence of the required infrastructure. We should also be able to identify the purpose of the area. We should also be able to check the availability of the water source, the capacity, electric power supply. And of course, we should also be able to see the strategic location of the area for the economic zone in the Philippines. So for that zone, eligible for incentives under RA 796 includes export manufacturing, IT service export, tourism, medical tourism, agro-industrial export manufacturing, agro-industrial biofuel manufacturing, logistics, and warehousing and services and ecozones development and operation. So If you're also wondering right now how many economic zones are there in the country, now the great news is according to PEZA, there are a total of 277 operating economic zones all throughout the Philippines as of December 31, 2012. So we broke down as the follows, which are we have 17 agro-industrial economic zones. We also have 178 IT parks or centers. We also have 75 manufacturing economic zones, 2 medical tourism parks, and 15 tourism economic zones. So that is actually a total of 277 operating economic zones in the Philippines right now. So the available incentives to PISA registered enterprises includes all incentives under EO 226, which includes ITH. It also includes preferential final tax of 5% of gross income in all national and local taxes after ITH period, and tax and duty-free importations of capital equipments, spare parts, raw materials, and supplies which are needed in the registered activities. And lastly, tax credits for exporters using local materials, inputs in RA 788 or the Export Development Act on 1994. So that will be my discussion for our topic for today. And on our second topic, which will be introduced by Liam and Mara, which is based conversion or development act for purpose of determining tax liabilities and tax incentives.
So
Thank
good
you.
so good day everyone. So the second topic for today is the Basis Conversion and Development Act or BCDA for the purposes of determining tax liabilities and tax incentives. So what is our next page? So what is RA 7227, otherwise known as the Basis Conversion and Development Act of 1992? So it is an act accelerating the conversion of military reservations into another productive uses, creating the Basis Conversion and Development Authority for this purpose, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. So it was approved on March 13, 1992, and amended on February 13, 1995. So its objective is to accelerate the sound and balanced conversion and development of the former United States military bases into special economic zones to promote economic and social development. So technically, RA 7227 is vested the authority with the mandate to accelerate the sound and balance conversion into alternative productive uses of Clark and Subic military reservations and extensions, to raise funds by the sale of proportions of Metro Manila military camps, to apply funds for the development and conversion to productive civilian use of lands covered under 1947 Military Bases Agreement, and to promote the economic and social development of Central Luzon in particular and in the country in general. Next page, please. So the Basis Conversion and Development Authority or BCDA and the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority or SBMA. These two administrative bodies were created to adopt, prepare, and implement a comprehensive development program to convert the Clark and Subic military reservations and their surrounding communities into special economic zones. So let's start first with the BCDA. So the BCDA group is the prime mover of national development. They transform former military bases and properties into premier centers of economic growth in partnership with the private sector with integrity, excellence, and efficiency in the stewardship of government resources. They create sustainable urban communities to uplift the lives of Filipinos. And the BCDA is mandated to oversee and implement the conversion and development of these particular military bases or reservations such as Clark in Pampanga, John Hay Air Station in Baguio, Wallace Air Station in La Union, O'Donnell Transmitter Station in Tarlac, Mount Santa Rita Station in Bataan, and those portions of Metro Manila military camps may transfer through presidential claims. So Mr. Liam will continue the rest of the topic.
All right, next slide, please. Okay, the discussion that I'll be sharing to you is the SBMA, or to oversee the implementation of the development programs of the Subic Bay Naval Station. Its environs and surround communities. No, as you can see, the Clark Development Corporation is one of the operating and implementing arm of the BCDA to manage the Clark Special Economic Zone and the Clark Free Zone. Next slide, please. As we move forward, I will be discussing to you the fiscal incentives and the non-fiscal incentives. Fiscal incentives, a final tax of 5% on gross income earned shall be paid in lieu of all local and national taxes. No, the gross refers to the gross sales revenue derived from the business activity within the zone. Net of the, and also it is the net sales of discounts and sales returns and allowances are less cost of sales, no, and also it cost of production or direct cost of the services. The tax and duty-free importation of raw materials and capital equipment. It is the importation of the capital equipment, raw materials, spare parts, and accessories made by the registered business enterprise shall be exempted from customs duties subject to the following conditions. Like first, the imported items must be directly and exclusively used in the registered project or activity of the registered business enterprise. Next is the capital equipment, raw materials, and spare parts or accessories are directly and reasonably needed by the registered business enterprise. And it will be used exclusively in and part of the direct cost of the registered project or activity of the registered business enterprise, and not manufactured or produced domestically in sufficient quantity or a comparable quality and reasonable prices. Okay, and moreover, the non-fiscal incentives are the permanent residency status for investors, their spouses and dependent children under 21 years old of age, and provided they have continuing investment or none less than 250,000 US dollars, and also employment of foreign national. Next slide, please. The latest provision in the amending RA 7227 are the following. First is the RA 9399, granted one tax amnesty to locators in the CSEZ and other special economic zones such as Poro Point Special Economic Zone and Free Zone, and John Hay Special Economic Zone and Morong Special Economic Zone, by making these locators pay an amnesty tax of 25,000 pesos. And they will be able to avail themselves of the benefits of the remedial tax amnesty herein granted on all applicable tax and duties liabilities, inclusive of fines, penalties, interest, and other additional thereof. And also a notice and return in such form shall be prescribed by the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue and the Commissioner of Customs thereafter, by paying an amnesty tax of $25,000 within 6 months from the effectivity of this act. No? And also the next act that we'll be focusing is the RA 9400, granted tax and duty incentives to registered enterprises within the special economic zones and John Hay, Poro Point, Morong, and Clark, similarly to those who enjoy the Subic Bay Free Port.
So that's it for today. Thank you for listening to our discussions. We hope that you've learned something from us as it is our primary objective in making this video. So once again, thank you and have a great day.